we're talking about some of the things that play a big role in whether or not your book is sold. So this is what happens from the time that you publish it to actually getting it into people's hands. And there are a couple of things in the making of your book that are really important to make sure that we're aware of. And one of which was the importance of title, right? That title was the number one factor in whether or not somebody bought your book, because the title determined whether or not they were going to turn it over and read the back of the book cover to find out what was inside. So we talked a lot about title last week. And then we talked about the elements of a book that you might want to be working on. One of the elements of a book that we discussed was the foreword. And so the reason I bring up a foreword now is that, it could take somebody, if the person that you identify as somebody who has authority that they could lend to your book, someone who will, do a good job of referring you as the right person to talk about your subject, you can't hand it to them and expect to get it back next week. It could take them months to complete a foreword, setting aside the time to do it, especially if this is a person of influence. You want to give them 60 to 90 days to do a foreword. So if you're working on your book now, it's a good idea to tell them about it, which you all can do because you all know what your book is about, who it's for, the impact that it makes, how it can help and serve in that marketplace. So you can explain that really well at this point, enough so that someone could begin their work of writing your foreword. Depending on who you choose, you're getting a foreword from Warren Buffett, you're not going to get that next week. So depending on who you choose, you want to make sure that you give them a good amount of time. So that's part of the reason why I raise a lot of these questions so early, is because you don't want to finish your book and then have to wait 6 months for somebody to give you a foreword, right? You want to get them started on it at the same time. So that was part of that conversation. And of course, I also talked about making sure that you choose wisely in the person to write your foreword. Someone who could lend an audience, who could lend their expertise, who is admirable of the kind of work that you do. You don't necessarily have to know them personally. You'd be surprised at how many people say yes to writing a foreword and they don't necessarily know the author personally, but they support the subject. So just things to consider. And of course, our titles had to fulfill specific requirements in order to be effective. And so the list that I gave you all was that, great titles are clear. Great titles are one of, if not several of, the items that are on this list. Great titles are clear about the content that they include. The great title is really clear to the reader that it's for them. And that can come from title and subtitle. So if you had a title that you were kind of married to, that's fine, but your subtitle can clarify the content effectively and still provide the value for your title, so that you could keep a title if it was meaningful to you, like Shoe Dog, which to you and I, but to the guy who invented Nike, that probably has some significance. Maybe that's what people call him. What up, Shoe Dog? I don't know. But if you have a title that's meaningful to you, you can keep that, but leverage the subtitle to make sure that your content is clear. And you see that a lot today, where the subtitles are 2 sentences long, because it's doing exactly that. It's clearly stating what the book does and who it's for. Great titles are enticing. They something about the title makes you go, or they elicit a response from us. So, titles like Losing My Virginity by Richard Branson is to get a response from you, if not a giggle, something else. Titles make a promise. They tell your reader what they're going to get out of reading your book, especially if these are people that don't know you. They need to know why they should devote their time to reading your book. And so great titles oftentimes make a promise to the reader. And then lastly, they resolve a problem. Majority of the time, if somebody is looking for nonfiction that's not a biography about a specific person of interest, they have a problem to solve. They go to Amazon, searching for help in an area. And so if your book title expresses that you can solve their problem, then it's a lot more likely that they'll consider buying your book. So that's just a recap on last week. I want to continue that conversation and with a couple of things. So a reminder, the 4th of July weekend, the 4th of July is an off day for us. We won't be here on that holiday. But you all already have in your Dropbox access to chapter 7 of the course. So today is a continuation of chapter 6. 7 would be the next chapter in the program, and that is the legal chapter. That is the chapter on intellectual property and how do you protect your book and how do you make sure your book isn't infringing on someone else's rights, whether it's with a photograph or an image or a graph or a chart or quote. So that whole 2-hour recording is for your benefit, and it is specifically recorded for authors. So it is intellectual property for people who are creating content, who are wanting to be speakers, who are wanting to write their book. That is specific to you. One of the things that I always like sharing, I'm a retired patent and trademark examiner, and I actually am officially retired. I retired from patent and trademark officially with the federal government. I did a 5-year retirement. But there was a concept that people shared at the Patent and Trademark Office that comes from this paragraph of the law that defines what a patent or a trademark is. And it talks about the idea of spontaneous conception. And basically what spontaneous conception is, and a lot of you have experienced this, when you have an idea and somebody else somewhere in the world is experiencing the similar influences that led to that idea, and they are having the same idea at the same time. So a lot of times people come up with an invention in the back of their mind or something that they're thinking, oh, I should do this, nobody has this. And then somebody puts out exactly what their idea was. Well, that's spontaneous conception. It means you're under a certain set of influences, whether it's something you watched on TV, something you experienced at work, challenges that you're having. Someone else in the world is exposed to those same influences. And so you guys are both coming up with the same idea at the same time. So a lot of times inventions happen on opposite sides of the world, but it's the same invention because they're trying to solve the same problem for the same challenge for different countries, but the development of the idea is happening at the same time, so, and then you end up with competition to see who's first to get the patent. But that spontaneous conception is basically saying somebody else is coming up with similar content as you right now. And you want to make sure that you protect yours because you might be the first to market with these ideas. So when you go through that legal section, there are a lot of reasons why you may want to trademark your title, trademark, I'm working on a trademark right now for Instant Author because I have Instant Author Blueprint, Instant Author Retreat, Instant Authority, which is the brand building course that I'm in the process of releasing. And so I'm trademarking Instant Author because it could be so much bigger than just one program. So when you think about like the shift process, if somebody else is going through the similar influences, similar work stress, similar background, someone with incredible leadership ability who's maybe done some speaking and done some things and slowly evolving into a similar subject matter, these are some of the reasons why we protect our work. It isn't always that somebody's trying to steal it. It's spontaneous conception. Somebody else is having this same idea right now at the same time that we are. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. Titles can be trademarked, programs can be trademarked. I encourage you to listen to chapter 7 the week that we're not together, because it may shed a lot of insight on what you want to do and how you want to protect your work. If you're interested in possibly trademarking something from your book, even if it's a process that you have. People do that all the time, like Rule of 72 is trademark. So if you're interested in trademarking some aspect of what you're talking about, you'll have this PowerPoint. You guys will get the slides for this in your Dropbox like you do every week. But you can go to the USPTO website and search to see what trademarks are existing, what's out there, who's got it, who doesn't, and see whether or not your idea is available to be trademarked. So you can go right into the trademark site and do a preliminary search on that, especially if you think you have something unique within your program. You can also trademark goods and services. So some of you may be developing t-shirts and cups and mugs or whatever might come from your process. So give some thought to that. You know, how far do you want to go with protecting your work? If you just want to copyright your manuscript, that's okay too. But I always like to point these things out for protecting your ideas, because there's other people having similar ideas right now. And then there is the issue of theft. So I had a friend of mine who's a coach who came up with a really great idea for a web domain. And she shared it with a couple of people, and one of her friends went out and bought the web domain. I use the word friend loosely, but generally speaking, that does happen. So, you know, think about how far you'd like to go protecting your ideas. If you are have that title in mind that you want to use, it might be worth the, I don't know what it is on GoDaddy today, $15 to buy the web domain. You can always change it later if you want to, but protect it with the idea, because people hear your ideas and they can run off with it, you know. So I own Instant Author Retreats, I own Instant Author Blueprint, Instant Author Masterclass, Instant Author Course. I own a bunch of versions of my title because I don't know what I want to do, but I want to make sure it's there for me when I get ready to do it. So I just express that to say, you know, once you do come up with your title, it might be a good idea to snatch up that domain so that nobody else can snatch it from you when you decide to, even if you don't plan on building a website right away. So when we get to the marketing section, I'll be talking about some different ways that you can, you know, create a landing page for people to go to for your book. And some of them are paid and some of them are free. And if you don't want to do a paid, you know, pay for a website, you don't have to. You could use Eventbrite and Facebook events to be able to market a lot of the things that you're doing. You can use, you know, there are free options. But I had a client, for example, Pastor Jumi, and she used Facebook and Eventbrite for her marketing. She didn't want to do a web page, but we bought diaryofapastoress.com and forwarded everything, forwarded from that domain to the free pages. So that when she does decide to create a web page, nobody else runs off with Diary of a Pastoress, because that's kind of that's a cool title. So I'm just raising your awareness around these kinds of things, that if you're going to be, you know, telling people about your book and, oh, my book is this, that girl really did go and buy her friend's website. So just all that to say, yeah, you might want to think about just going on GoDaddy and, you know, getting your domain just to protect your idea until you decide what you're going to do with it. Okay, till you decide where you want it to go. So GoDaddy is what I usually use. Some people prefer there's other pages. Whatever works for you. Squarespace is great, but whatever works for you. But there are also free options for developing your landing page. Even your Amazon Central page, which I'm going to teach you about, we'll do a section on Amazon Central, which is the free page that Amazon gives you for marketing yourself. That's a great place for people to land. You can drive all your traffic there. And then if they want to buy the book, they're already in Amazon. Okay. So we'll talk about that in the marketing section. We'll do a whole thing in marketing about, you know, creating spaces for people to land, and then where do you get the traffic from for your book. These are just some options, some ideas around creating, if your book title is already taken, some ideas for creating variations. So my client, Johnny Davis, his book, I'm Still Here, kind of a generic title. That webpage was taken. So he purchased I'm Still Here, the book.com. Sorry, I see an error. I must fix it right this second. There we go. Okay. So I'm Still Here was already, somebody already had that domain. So he did I'm Still Here, the book.com. Same for me and Foster the Dream. I have fosterthedreambook.com. Somebody else has Foster the Dream for a nonprofit. So if somebody has your title, you can also, just buy a variation that works for you. So artofbasketweaving.com is taken. You could do basketweavingbook.com or something like that. But I think it's a great idea that if your URL is not taken for your book title, to secure it, because that really does happen. I've seen it. People do things even when they don't really mean to. So that's just a little bit on intellectual property. The full 2-hour training, I mean, she goes over getting your copyright. That whole training is already in chapter 7, module 7 of your program. So it's all there. And then if you have any questions on it, I can always refer you to Shayla. If I know the answer, I'm happy to answer it. It depends on how deep into the legal you go. But a lot of it I have experienced, what you've experienced the first time. So I'm happy to share those things with you. So now we can go on with our primary content for today. So we have talked about the title and how important that is, but now I just want to talk to you a little bit about the book cover. And the book cover, if you'll remember from our Thompson Nelson Publishing Consumers Report, title was number 1, cover was number 2, and back cover was number 3. So the front cover and the back cover are also really important for whether or not your book is going to sell, whether or not somebody even gets to the point that they're reading your book. Book covers matter. People say, don't judge a book by its cover. That is not true for books. Okay, that's okay for people, but it's not true for books. So with regard to book covers, these are the first 2 are some examples of what I might call a traditional book cover. That looks so weird. So weird. I need to fix that. Something strange with that picture. But the reason I use Carrie Bradshaw as an example is that one of my favorite episodes is the episode where she has to figure out what her book cover is going to look like. So she's been working on this book her whole life, writing these articles on Sex and the City. And the time comes for her to pick a book cover. And the first thing she does is write. She goes to the bookstore and actually looks at book covers. And that's the first thing that I would absolutely recommend that you do, is go and look at book covers. And I'll give you some specific instructions on that. But when she does, and she looks at book covers, she sees a lot of covers like the book covers to the left, right? The guys in suit jackets, really stiff realtor photos is what I like to call them. Realtor photos, the realtor poses, the traditional poses, and none of that is a fit for who she is as a person. It's just not a fit for her brand. And so she was totally lost and turned off trying to figure out what was important about her book cover. And she was right to care about that, because you are married to this book cover. If you get a call from Robin Roberts to be on Good Morning America, the first thing they're going to do is put this book cover on the screen. Every time you go somewhere to speak, they're going to put your book cover on the screen. Everywhere you go, they're going to pull out your book. So everywhere you go with your mother, she's going to pull out your book. So, you're going to be married to this book and the cover. So the most important thing is that you like it. You have to like it. Really, I think you have to love it, because you're going to see it all the time. You're going to carry it with you. So that's the first priority, is that you love your cover. And I thought she was right to not go with the traditional direction. because that wasn't a fit for who she was. And she was quick to realize that. So one of the things that I do recommend you do is go to bookstores or libraries. I mean, shopping online is okay, but it's not the same experience. Actually go and look at book covers. But if you want to do it online, you can. But look at covers and look at what you don't like about them, right? So these covers, the images are really stiff, they're severe, they're stuffy, they're conservative, none of which is her. So start off with figuring out what you don't like. That's going to be a good way to then flip the script and determine what it is you do like. So she figured out, okay, I need pops of color. It needs to be more fun. It can't be so rigid. So she was able to work backwards from what she hated about book covers to figuring out what she did want, which was pops of color. That was her. You know, she's sparkle 24/7. So she really looked for something that fit her brand and her personality and her own personal sense of style. So after you look at what you don't like about books, then you also kind of want to tune into the brand that you're building. What's your brand about? You know, I was say for myself, a big thing that I wanted to convey in my brand was warmth. You know, I see a lot of coaches that almost take this military style approach, yelling at you and shouting at you and using reverse psychology, like, well, I made $1 million. What are you doing all day? You know, this kind of reverse psychology to motivate you. And I don't find that motivating. So I wanted warmth in my brand, which is why pink is one of my colors. But think about what it is that you want to convey on that cover. How do you want people to feel? So as the episode progresses, her publicist takes over and goes all the way to the other side. She went from conservative to hey, hot mamas on the other side, which was also too much for her. But in the end, she settles on the cover in the middle, which was, you know, cool, like she is, but also still said, well, I think was a better fit for her brand. So this is when the next part of this comes in. You know, a lot of you did the brand assessments with me early on, or I think we did. Did we do it? Janet, did you do a brand assessment? You know what? I may not have given it out yet, but a lot of you have done them with me. Janet and Ramsey, you may not have. So I will send you a brand assessment quiz. Sharon has. I will send you a brand assessment quiz. And one of the things that quiz tells you is what attracts people to you. So it's not necessarily who you feel you are, right? It's not a personality test of what your personality is. It's what makes people like magnetically attracted to you. What makes someone a fan of yours? And that can be very different than how you perceive yourself, right? So an example of that would be Beyonce, because she'll tell you that Beyonce and Sasha Fierce are two different people. But so how she might see herself at home and in her house and with her kids and in her kitchen versus how people are attracted to the persona they see on stage could be totally different. Totally different. We don't know her at home to know for sure, but from the way she talks, it sounds like there's an alter ego type thing happening there. And what people are attracted to with her is what's called a royalty brand. So royalty brands are going to be high end. They're going to have very high standards. People are typically going to put them up on a pedestal as opposed to a girl next door brand where they feel like, I don't even know you, but I feel like I know you. Like we're homegirls, right? Drew Barrymore would be a girl next door brand. Like she's super casual. Everybody's my friend. Beyonce is like, I'm up here. I'm gonna help you elevate because I'm not coming down there. I'm gonna help you elevate. You're gonna come up here with me. So she is a royalty brand. She sets the standard that people want to climb to. But that's what the assessment tells you. It tells you about your brand. My brand type is magician, sparkle, all that sparkle and vision. I help people with the vision for what it is that they want to create. That's what I do. But my brand assessment tells me that. Okay. Now, Kelly, at home, Kelly, I might be thinking to myself, well, no, I I'm just me. I don't necessarily see myself that way, but how other people see me from the work that I do, that's what your brand assessment is telling you. So that's something that I definitely encourage, and that I just do that for you. You fill out the quiz, you take the quiz, send back your answers, and I will send you your brand assessment and just kind of explain to you what it's saying. But it does help you to figure out what makes someone a fan, and then what you want to do is make that bigger. Sade and Prince were experts at giving the people what they want. Give the people what they want. And so that's what you want to do. You want to figure out what makes somebody a fan and make that bigger in all of your marketing. And so it may help give you ideas for colors and things like that, but it will really give you an idea of what people are looking for from you. And from there, you can build out the messaging around your book when it comes to marketing. So we typically do it around the time we start marketing. So I'll send the assessment out so that you'll have your answers. So the front cover is a really important part of your book. And it's important to research other covers in your industry, see what's out there, figure out what you don't like so that you can more clearly determine what you do like in a cover. I definitely support having your picture on the cover if you're sharing your story, because remember, this is what anyone that you speak for, that you're on their podcast, this is what they're going to lead with. Best-selling author of, best-selling author of. Here's the book, best-selling author of. So it's great if your picture's on it because they know who you are. It helps people feel connected to you. It doesn't have to be. It may depend on the subject that you're talking about. A lot of real estate books, they'll put houses on the cover so that people know that the book is about real estate. I did both. So it all just, kind of, and we can always talk about it if you have ideas and you want to hash them out. It's very motivating when you are able to start to develop a concept of your cover, to see the book starting to come together. It can be very motivating to know, oh my goodness, I got a cover. Oh, this is happening. So that can be a great way to get a boost of energy around your book. I do, again, recommend that you go someplace where you can physically touch books, even if it's your own library. If you have enough books, you can go in your own library and look through at some of the covers and look at what you like and what you don't like. And look, just go with your instincts on what you see. I can think of some covers that I absolutely love. I love Dr. Ian's new book cover. I think it's called Fast Burn. It's a great cover. It's a great cover. I just looked at the cover and for a minute he almost had me. And then I was just like, no, I'm not buying it. But he almost had me just because it was good marketing. So the Life-Changing Magic of Not Giving a Bleep, that's a great cover. Think about some of the really good covers that you like and why did you like them? What did you love about them? But at the end of the day, you have to love your book cover. I love my book cover. So I don't mind having 500 copies. I love my book cover. I love every time I see somebody put it up on the screen. So you want to feel that way about it. Okay. And then start thinking about this. Okay. And then start thinking about the characteristics of your cover. Think about, the colors as based on the branding that you have. Think about how you want people to feel. Think about the gut reaction you want them to have when they see your book. And think about, is this going to pop on a shelf with 1,000 books on it? Is it going to stand out? Okay. Get a pile of books together that you like if you can. And you can do this in the store. I do this all the time. I pile up all the books. But really, even lay them out on the floor helps to look and compare, look at the sizing, and really try to get a good vibe for, the size of text that you want. Do you want testimonials on the cover? Do you like that when you see that? Is that impactful for you? What's the reaction that you want somebody to have the first time they see your book cover? Okay. Now, I also want to take a minute to talk about the back of the book cover. So we're going to examine a cover. This is a book cover that I really, really like, Dr. Phoenix Austin. It's about growing your hair. She has fabulous hair, so definitely be on the cover. I love her hair. Oh my goodness, you just want to reach out and fluff it. Okay, so her cover is a good fit for what it is that she's marketing, but then you turn it over and you look at the back cover. So one element of a back of the book cover is either a question or a impactful statement at the very top of the cover, because this is your first opportunity to get someone's attention. So you can see that there. If You Love It, You Will Grow is a fabulous book that explains how to grow and maintain healthy, natural, Afro textured hair. So this, in her case, that first statement is kind of a quick summary of the about the book. And you could see there who it's for, Afro textured, what they're going to get, how to grow and maintain healthy textured hair, right? So that they can love their hair in the end. That's the idea. That's the idea. That's that whole statement that I asked you guys to work on for your own books. She's got that at the very top of her book. You can see that she has bullet points there that describe what you're going to learn in the book. And then she's got a brief bio on the back of the book cover as to why she is the right person to write that book. So all these things that we've been doing since the beginning of the program, they come back again and they show up with regards to your back of the book cover. What's it about? Why do I want to read it? What's it going to do for me? Why is this important to me? Who are you talking to? Why are you the right person to write the book? All of that shows up in the back of the book cover, and you have to nail it, because this is what makes the difference whether somebody writes your book or not. So that's why I'm such a harpy on those 4 questions, because it all comes to a head, not just in generating your content, but in the cover. So the ingredients of the back of the book cover include a headline, right? So it can be a statement like she did. It can be a question. It can be a quote. But this is your opportunity to catch the attention of the reader. There can be a description of your book, or in her case, she had bullet points on what you were going to learn in her book. You can have endorsements on the back of the book. So I'll show you an example that has some endorsements, but I think many times you've picked up a book and you've seen endorsements on either the front or the back of the book. But endorsements can be an ingredient of a book cover, front or back, and then the author bio on the back, which I do encourage, especially as a new author, to establish why are you the right person to write this book. So it might include your credentials, but it may include something specific about your experience in this area. Okay. So this is just a quick example of a before or after book cover. This was my client, Pastor Jumi, Diary of a Pastoress. And this was the first book cover draft that she did. And it was okay. There's nothing like really wrong with it. It just didn't say POW, and the colors seemed to clash. They didn't really seem to connect. I didn't think it was showing her in the best light. And so we gave it a little makeover for a more impactful cover. So this Pastor Jumi took that brand assessment quiz, and she comes out as a royalty brand. There's something about her that is very regal and queen-like, in a Princess Diana, benevolent, loving, giving, but poised kind of way. There's a regal presence to Pastor Jumi that's undeniable. She just seems like she came straight from Uganda. Like she is just a regal individual, something about her. But she comes back as a royalty brand. So royalty brands, gold is a big royalty brand color. Royalty brands in business would be Louis Vuitton is considered a royalty brand. So you think about the imagery in their handbag or their watches advertisements, gold everywhere, gold blazing everywhere, gold details. on everything. But gold is a big royalty brand color. Purple is a, what do they call them? What's the word? It'll come to me for jewels, but it's a regal color. So we polished up the cover and I think got the cover impact that we were looking to get with the new colors and the new branding. But you can see that it makes a huge difference in how you feel when you see the cover. So think about how you want people to feel. She was a pastoress. There's a regal aspect to that. How do you want people to feel when they look at your cover? So here's another example. And Dr. Shane Idleman, also a pastor, but you can see that he started his book, the back of the book cover, his headline is a question and a quote, right from Psalms and in the Bible. And then you can see a description of what the book is about. You can see the bio at the bottom, why he's the right person to teach this book. And in his case, he used testimonials to give the back of the book cover impact. So you have to determine, what your preference is. When you do that, when you use testimonials, you give up some of your real estate to describe the book, but that may be the thing to do, especially if you have testimonials from people of influence. So when you're looking at book covers and you got them all laid out on the floor and you're looking at some you like and some you don't like, think about what are the elements that you like, that you connected with. Why do you like it? Why do you like that design? Did the testimonials do it for you? Is that what got you excited about reading the book? Or was it the description? What do you think is more impactful based on your story and your subject matter? Okay. Next up is My Life Map. This is a different type of book, but you can see that they have on their back of the book cover on the left-hand side. Well, you can see on the right-hand side is the front cover, and that they have a testimonial at the very top. So they gave up some real estate that could have been there for an image, and they gave that up for a testimonial. Then on the left, they have the book description. They have some specific bullet points on what's in the book. They don't really have like a bio. So they gave up their bio real estate for another testimonial. But depending on the type of book you have, this book is definitely more of a how-to. It gives, specific examples of how to develop a life map. So I think maybe they were less concerned with imagery and more concerned with the how-to aspect. But you can look at this and think about how impactful that particular type of model is. So the main ingredients is a headline, whether it's a question or a quote or a statement, getting your book description. Why do they want to read this? What's the promise that you make? Who's it for? You do want to have an endorsement if you can. You have to decide if you want it on the front or the back. And then an author bio, which you can see from the examples that we looked at, there isn't a lot of space. So this is a short form bio with the most important things that explain why you're the right person to share this information. Okay, so these big 3 questions that have haunted you all this time, they're back again. So go back to your book idea summary, go back to your answers for those questions and start looking for what would go on the back cover of your book. This is where you do that. And then go back and look at, start thinking about who you might go to for a testimonial if you want to have one on your book cover. This is when you go back and you look at all of those things. I think here, just a question. Nope, I think I do it next week. Next week we'll do trim sizes when we do editing. So this week, hopefully you guys are finishing up your outlines and working on your drafts and writing. Can't wait to see what else you've got, Janet. I know you've been writing. You can brainstorm your titles, pull some books off your shelf that you really love and look at their covers and see, why did I buy this book? What made me buy this? What about this cover made me want to spend my money on this book, especially a hardcover. What made you spend that $25? So why did you want it? What was it about the book that sold you? Think about that, and then think about how that shows up in your own material. So that's what I have for you guys today, and it is 5:46. We're done a little bit early, so I got some extra time. If you have to go and rejoin Father's Day festivities, I completely understand. I spent the morning with my dad, and I'm here for until the full 7 o'clock today. Next week, we will have a short day. I'll only be here till 6:30 next week. It'll be 5 to 6:30 next week. I have to end a little bit early next week. Or like 6:40-ish. It'll end like maybe 20 minutes early. But otherwise, we're still here next week. And next week will be editing, and we'll talk about trim sizes, word count, all those fun details about our book and what to expect. So we'll do that next week. And then if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer. But that's it for today.
Hey, Kelly, I won't be here next week. I'll be on a flight back from Florida during the class. So I'm gonna,
Okay.
yeah.
No problem. No problem. Class is always recorded.
Oh, that's it. I love that.
Always recorded. And you actually asked your editing questions already, I think. You and I talked about.
Yeah.
So if you have questions, you can always ask them the next week.
Okay.
Yeah, you can ask questions on any module at any time.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Oh. That's why we have all this time together.
I know. I have such a migraine right now.
Oh, well, definitely go chill out. Enjoy the rest of your day. Yes, I know you've been working hard.
Thank you. Yeah, I've gotten a lot done I shifted gears, and I'm working on the travel section, and I've got so much done on that.
Oh, that's fun. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. But anyway, lovely seeing you ladies this evening. Enjoy your Father's Day event, the rest of it. I think it's Sharon that's leaving.
Yeah, I actually am. You guys have a blessed week, and see you all next week, okay?
Yes, you too.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kelly, always. Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Kelly.
Bye. Ramsey, I'm just checking in with you. You doing okay?
Yes, I'm doing okay. I was struggling and didn't figure out why until I realized that it was Father's Day. So I've been struggling, but I'm fine.
I'm sorry, honey. I know that's hard.
Yeah, it's approaching the first year anniversary. So he passed on July 2nd. And then it's Father's Day today. And then his birthday is on the 24th of July.
Okay. Yeah. That's understandable. Oh, I'm so sorry. I know it's hard. I can't even imagine. Do you have siblings, Ramsey?
I do. Everybody's pretty much in Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, that's where your family is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's really hard. Do you get to see them? Do you go there?
I do, but with the pandemic and all, I haven't been as much as I normally probably would.
Yeah.
And I probably won't be back out there until October when one of my cousins gets married.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going there for the first time.
When?
That last weekend of September and October.
Oh, I almost thought you said the same weekend I would be out there, the end of October. I was gonna say, oh my goodness, you have to come by.
Oh, I would have loved to. I would love to meet your family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going for a conference. a real estate conference, and I think it's the 28th through the 1st or something like that. So I'm
Okay.
going that last week of September.
Hmm.
For the first time. I have never been to Phoenix. I did not realize that you were so far away from. I knew your family wasn't in DC, but that's far. It's the pandemic makes that. I'm sure just made it feel really far away.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I'll understand if you need your some time to just like rest and decompress. I believe me, I totally would understand.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out like why I've been feeling like I'm completely exhausted like the last week or whatever, but just feeling so drained like no matter what. And I think that's it. I think it's just the everything just kind of, and then because the other day like a song came on Praise 104.1, and it
Mhm.
was like one of those songs that you would kind of dedicate to your father or something like that. And I was driving and just like end up just bawling, just